So you can't see this, but hopefully you can hear it. Behind every Boise State Public Radio podcast is a team working hard to bring you stories that matter. So if you value podcasts like this one, please support them. Hit donate at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks.
Happy Friday. It's The Connector for January 17th. Good morning. I'm Troy Oppie. This morning, a preview of what's to come this holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday. Plus, raises for Idaho state employees are up in the air. Budget-writing lawmakers deadlocked on two separate proposals Thursday. And Idaho businessman and Custer County landowner Michael Boren, now an undersecretary for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That story and more this morning on The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. Idaho businessman Michael Boren was named Undersecretary for Natural Resources and Environments for the U.S. Department of Agriculture yesterday. President-elect Donald Trump announced Boren's selection on Trump's Truth Social account, noting Boren's role in multiple businesses, including Clearwater Analytics, as well as his roles as a volunteer firefighter for the Sawtooth Rural Fire District and as an Idaho State Board of Parks and Recreation member. Boren was also likely the pilot of a helicopter registered to him that flew aggressively over contractors hired by the Forest Service, a Department of Agriculture subsidiary. Near his brother David's property in 2020, workers were constructing the Stanley to Redfish Public Trail. David Boren unsuccessfully challenged the construction of that trail, which relied on an easement to cross his property. The Forest Service then asked for a restraining order against both Michael and David Boren, which was denied by a federal judge. Michael Boren also sued multiple people, including the late Blaine County Commissioner Dick Fosbury, for defamation. Boren has appealed previous rulings in that lawsuit to the state Supreme Court. Governor Brad Little, in a statement Thursday, echoed Trump's congratulations of Boren's appointment, saying Michael Boren, quote, understands rural America and will, quote, transform how lands and fire are managed here in the West. Raises for state employees are up in the air after budget-writing lawmakers deadlocked on two proposals Thursday. James Dawson has more.
About $4.5 million separates the two pay hike proposals, but the intention behind them is what really sets them apart. Republican Senator Kevin Cook calls for a 4% merit-based raise, which proportionately favors higher-income earners. He compared an across-the-board $1.55 an hour raise to a participation trophy and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts.
Equity breeds entitlement. That's what equity does. Merit breeds excellence, high standards, and innovation.
But others, like Republican Representative James Petsky, say the flat raise simply helps workers cope with inflation.
We're trying to offset the cost of living increase that Idaho's employees have been dealing with. And I think that the cost of eggs has gone up the same for everybody.
A flat raise costs slightly more money at $93 million. The Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee shelved the issue and won't take it up until later this session. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Idaho's latest bill to ban display of certain flags, like the Rainbow Pride flag, in public school classrooms is headed to the House floor. The proposal from Republican Representative Ted Hill would ban flags associated with political ideology, sexual orientation, and gender, but schools won't be punished if they don't comply.
We're not going to go put penalties on this. I mean, this is a little bit of an overreach. I'm just trying to pull people in and what's best for us as a country, and everyone should take that and do that. That American flag and that state flag is best for all of us.
Other state flags, flags of other nations, and military flags would still be allowed under the bill. The proposal eventually passed along party lines, despite some hesitation from some Republicans, like Representative Jack Nelson.
I like this, but I'm afraid we're going to do some collateral damage with it.
Nelson worried it'd be too hard to police. Some Republicans initially voted to amend the bill to prevent other countries' flags from being displayed, but eventually approved it as is. This Monday, January 20th, marks Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a holiday that Boise State's MLK Living Legacy Committee is celebrating with the theme Evolving Together. Sophia Blankensop has more.
Each year on the holiday, a group of students work together to further the legacy of the civil rights leader by hosting the MLK Day of Greatness. These celebrations include poster making, a march to the state capitol, and speeches on the Capitol steps. But amid recent challenges to equity programs in schools across the state, MLK Living Legacy Committee Chair Charles Jones says the group's work is needed now more than ever.
I'm hoping that though we may feel like we're taking a step back, we evolve together and that we take the time to notice these changes and that we grow.
The celebrations begin on Boise State's campus in the Student Union Building on Monday at 9 a.m. and conclude afternoon at the Capitol. To view a more detailed schedule of events on Monday, go to boisestatepublicradio.org. Sophia Blinkensop, Boise State Public Radio News.
Democratic lawmakers in Idaho are again proposing a bill to enshrine housing and work protections for LGBTQ people in the state's Human Rights Act. The so-called Add the Words legislation has been proposed every session in the last 10 years, but never given a hearing, according to Senate Minority Leader Melissa Wintrow, who introduced the bill. Efforts to update the state's Human Rights Act with specific LGBTQ protections date back to decades, all unsuccessful. Wintrow's legislation this year is what's known as a personal bill, legislation rarely given any attention from lawmakers beyond its proposal. A rally in support of the campaign to add the words is planned January 28th at the state capitol. That's The Connector for this Friday, January 17th. I'm Troy Oppie. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Our general manager is Tom Michael. The Connector is a production of Boise State Public Radio. You can find us online at boisestatepublicradio.org. I'll be off on Monday for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, but you can tune in to The Connector and listen to the 3-part series from the Mountain West News Bureau on immigration and politics. Have a great weekend.